Well, thank you so much for having me here today to celebrate the anniversary of Medicaid. I live, unfortunately, in one of the states that has refused to expand Medicaid, not because they don't know it works, not because it's partisan, because we've seen Democrats and Republicans expand access to Medicaid. I can only chalk it up to meanness, a meanness of spirit, a meanness of soul, and a meanness of vision. I spent this afternoon, as did so many of your speakers, at the funeral of my dear friend, my beloved hero, John Lewis. I had the honor of living in his district and being represented by him for more than a decade. But even more than that, I had the honor of calling him a friend. And when John Lewis was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, he knew that he would have the best healthcare available in our country, that no amount would be spared to save his life or to prolong it and to cut down on the suffering. And yet I live in a state, his state, where 2 hours from here, another rural hospital has shut down, cutting off thousands from the merest access to healthcare. In the state of Georgia, like around the country, the states that have refused to expand Medicaid have watched their doors shutter and have watched their people suffer. And that is intolerable in a nation that is as wealthy and, I know, as compassionate as the United States. What Lyndon B. Johnson pulled out of us with the advent of Medicaid, we should cling to, because it speaks to who we intend to be. President Barack Obama today in his eulogy spoke about the compassion of our nation, and that compassion is lived most expressly when we take care of one another. When our essential workers don't have to worry about a cough or a sneeze and think that, oh God, I may have COVID, but I can't be tested, and so I must be silent. When our families have to worry about whether they can make a paycheck cover food and gas, or whether it has to cover a hospital bill that could cost them their housing. We know what the answer is. We know how to solve this problem, because for 55 years, we have had a program that has said, to those who have the least, we will still have your back. The legacy of John Lewis, the legacy of Lyndon B. Johnson, the legacy we should all reach for in America is a legacy of service. One that says that your health, your ability to wake up and take care of yourself and your family, to get through your day, that your health is something we will take on collectively as a nation. In 2013, I was the newly crowned, or perhaps I just stumbled into the last room, I became the Democratic leader for the House of Representatives in Georgia. In 2010, I took on that role. In 2011, 2012, we battled against redistricting that unfortunately cut off voices from participation. And in 2013, the governor said that not only would he not expand Medicaid, he was going to deny access to the Affordable Care Act through cutting off navigators. I wondered about how I could solve that problem as Democratic leader in the minority. And so I turned to my colleagues and we did what we could, but that wasn't enough. And so I turned to Community Catalyst. Community Catalyst, along with the Nathan Cummings Foundation, helped me raise money to hire community members in the hardest hit, hardest to reach, poorest parts of Georgia, so they could understand what healthcare could look like. But the most maddening, tragic part of our work was knocking on those doors, talking to folks about signing up for the ACA, and then having to explain what the Medicaid gap was. That in a state like Georgia, where poverty runs rampant, that their community, their neighborhood would have some people who could get healthcare, but others who would be denied because Medicaid was not expanded. And I had to explain to them that they joined 500,000 Georgians in being denied access to healthcare. But not only that, we were denying the creation of 50,000 good jobs. We were denying saving our hospitals, and we were denying ourselves a thriving economy that could make our state great. I continue to fight that fight because I've had Community Catalyst by my side. And every day when I fight for the right to vote through fair fight, and I fight for the right to be counted through fair count, because our 2020 census is how we will fund the next generation of decisions that we make. I believe in the economic power of the South, and that is why I created the Southern Economic Advancement Project. And we believe in Medicaid. We believe in the promise of healthcare because we believe in the promise of people. We believe that racial equity matters, that social justice matters, and that we can do this together. Whether I was doing it as a state legislator or as a private citizen, I took action, and I'm here today to ask you to take action with us. If you're watching this, then you already know what you've got to do. And so your charge is even greater. Go find friends. Go find frenemies. Go find folks who need to be called to action, called to their better angels, called into service. This isn't about parties. This isn't about politics. This is about people. It's about the kind of people we intend to be. And if in a pandemic, we can't bring it upon ourselves to call on our leaders to pass the HEROES Act and increase the amount of money going into Medicaid, if we can't call on those who stand for office to pledge their troth to our healthcare, if we cannot call on one another to speak up for those who are too sick to speak for themselves, then what good are we? I believe in America. I'd like to call myself a patriot because I fight every day for our democracy, but our democracy is a thought experiment. It is a contract we make with one another, but it is a contract that lives and breathes based on what we are willing to do and who we are willing to be. And so I'm calling on you to go to the Take Action page, to sign up to do good work, and to make good trouble, necessary trouble, as John Lewis was so fond of saying. Because he didn't say it as an admonition, he didn't say it as a slogan, he said it as a cry from his heart, that if we get in good trouble, if we make necessary trouble, then we will trouble the waters of the world and we will churn up good that will swamp us all with its greatness and its grace. And that's what we need to look for. That's what we need to act towards. And that's who we need to be. And so I thank Community Catalyst for inviting me. I thank all of you for watching. I beg you to take action today, take action tomorrow, and by God, take action by November 3rd. Because together we can set the course of the next 55 years, where we tell the story of the greatness of the healthcare system in the United States of America, one grounded in grace and truth, one grounded in Medicaid, saying that healthcare is a human right and belongs to all of us, and that we all belong to one another, because that is truly the more perfect union. Thank you so much for having me.